Ready.
Okay, hi guys. Today we're going to be presenting about our experiment on the association between appearance and taste. I'm Veronica.
I'm Natalie. All right, so here's some definitions to begin. So first we have classical conditioning, which is learning through association, and then we have flavor intensity, which refers to how strong the flavor tastes.
So what are we testing? So we are testing how we associate the appearance of a drink with how it tastes, which is classical conditioning. We are testing how color impacts the perceived flavor intensity and the perceived sweetness. And to measure this, we will be using a scaling system from 1 to 5 for both, where 1 is bitter and 5 is sweet, and then 1 is close to no flavor, and 5 is having an intense taste.
All right, so here's some background to our idea and how we came up with it. So some of our inspiration was from the failure of Crystal Pepsi. So basically Pepsi came out with this clear drink thinking that it was going to do really well for marketing purposes, and it ended up being a flop because people were so conditioned to the normal color of Pepsi. Kyle Murray is a marketing professor, and he actually did a study on the physical way we react to new products. And to do this, he measured pulse rate and perspiration, and he found that people showed symptoms of anxiety because it was too far out of the norm. They just didn't know how to react.
So our hypothesis was, with no actual change in flavor, we hypothesized that drinks with a stronger pigment using food coloring will result in people associating the drink with the sweeter and more intense flavor.
So how we tested this, we used 3 drinks, which are independent variables. So the first one was a tropical mango vitamin water, and we used pink versus red. And then we used Sprite, so with its like regular clear color, and then we dyed it using green food coloring. And our third drink was Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee, normal versus darkened.
So the way we collected data was, we had 10 participants that tried all 6 drinks, and they filled out a Google form. The participants were not told what they were drinking, but they were asked the following for each drink. So here's the example of the pink drink, but we did this for every single drink. How sweet did it taste? And they had to rate it on a scale from bitter to sweet. And how intense was the flavor of the pink drink? So 1 being close to water, and then 5 being an intense flavor.
So for our results, we were able to quantify our data by having the participants rate it from 0 to 5, and we found that a majority of people thought that the more pigmented a drink was, the more sweeter it was, or like the more intense the flavor was.
So here is a graph of our data, and if you can see, when we compared the pink drink to the red drink tasted sweeter because more people rated it around 4 or 5, whereas the pink drink had ratings between 2 and 4. And then for Sprite, it had the same pattern as the pink drink for sweetness, but for intensity, you can see that the clear soda without the food coloring had a less intense rating. But then when we added the green food coloring, our participants rated it as more intense. And then for coffee, our results were a little different because the dark coffee was rated as less sweet, and the light coffee was rated as more sweet. And this is because a darker color of coffee is normally associated with like black coffee, which is less sweet. And then the dark coffee was also rated as more intense for the same reason than the light brown coffee.
All right, so then our conclusion. So from our data, we were able to conclude that drinks with a stronger pigment, aka more food coloring, will result in people associating the drink with a sweeter and more intense flavor. So with the vitamin water, as Veronica said before, the subjects felt that the red dyed vitamin water was sweeter than the pink dyed, not knowing it was actually the same drink. And this may be due to previous conditioning with flavored drinks such as Gatorade, where typically a darker color is like a sweeter flavor. And then with the Sprite, the subjects felt that the green dyed soda had a more intense flavor than the ordinary clear soda. And finally, with the coffee, as Veronica said, they found that the light one had a less intense flavor than the dark dyed coffee, and this was most likely due to their conditioning to lighter colored coffee being sweeter or lighter tasting with milk, and the darker coffee being black coffee.
So some possible experimental errors. So we did only test 3 drinks for the purpose of our experiment, but we did try to vary them a bit from coffee to soda to more of a juice. And we also had a small sample size due to COVID. And we also only tested mostly teens / one age group because we tested like our siblings and a few of our friends, so they were around the same age group.
So then for our real world connection, so one way that our experiment can be related back to the real world is through children's medication. So many cough syrups specifically try to take the medications and use friendlier colors so that taking the syrup is more appealing to children and not as intimidating. And a company that does this is Delsum, that uses dyes to match colors with artificial flavoring of the syrup so that children can form mental relations between the colors and the flavor. And then also we can relate this back to marketing techniques. So people are so conditioned to associate certain colors with different senses. So with the Crystal Pepsi, the idea may have sounded smart at first since it was such a different look to the drink, but normal Pepsi drinkers simply felt that the transparent drink was too different from their normal brown one and therefore could not form their normal association with the drink.
Thank you guys for watching. I hope you found it interesting.